We will continue our discussion on IC engine. Today we will continue our discussion engine operation, that is idling, crushing and power zones. We have discussed that if we have a simple float type carburetor and using a simple float type carburetor, if we would like to supply the required fuel air mixture or charge depending upon the load which varies during idling condition, also in the cruising zone and power range. We have seen that if a simple float type carburetor is designed to supply required amount of fuel air mixture in idling condition, probably the carburetor will be supplying fuel air mixture which is beyond, I mean, too high as compared to the requirement during power range and cruising range. Similarly, if a carburetor is adjusted for satisfactory operation during power range, probably the carburetor will supply other very less amount of fuel air mixture which is required during idling condition. So, we have seen that if we have a simple float type carburetor, there are a few problems. So, we need to note down what are the problems associated with the simple float type carburetor, and if you would like to design a new or modern carburetor, then what would be the objectives of having of the design of a modern carburetor. So, today we will discuss the limitation of a simple float type carburetor. So, we will discuss the limitations of a simple float type carburetor. So, limitation of a simple float type carburetor, we have seen in the last lecture. I have discussed about that fuel air ratio versus pressure drop. During that discussion, we have seen that if I mean the requirement of fuel air mixture is very high during idling condition, although we are not extracting any load from the engine, but still engine is in running condition. And on the other hand, again we need to supply relatively higher fuel air ratio during power zone, which is quite obvious because we need to extract relatively larger load from higher load from the engine. On the other hand, during cruising zone, engine is operated most of the time, and where we require almost stoichiometric air fuel mixture, or that is it is known as economy range. I mean, during this range we need to supply only the fuel air ratio which is close to stoichiometric or chemically correct air fuel ratio. So, what are the limitations of a simple float type carburetor, that is we need to note down. So, number one is very important, that at no loads mixture becomes linear. At no loads, at no load mixture becomes linear. The engine requires the mixture to be enriched at this load. The engine requires the mixture to be enriched at low loads. The engine requires mixture to be enriched at low loads. That is what we have seen during idling condition, that mixture becomes really linear, but at no loads, load is not higher. I mean, in that case, if we have a simple float type carburetor, so the fuel air ratio or the mixture becomes linear on the, but we have seen from the diagram itself, and we have explained that at no load or low loads, where carburetor is almost close, it is partially open, during that time engine requires the mixture to be enriched, and we have explained the reason behind it. So, this is the problem if we have a simple float type carburetor. Then number 2, because simple float type carburetor cannot be adjusted to supply the required amount of fuel air ratio during 3 different ranges, that is what we have discussed. At intermediate load, the mixture equivalence ratio, very important. What do you mean by mixture equivalence ratio? Increases slightly at the ratio increases slightly as the airflow increases, as the airflow increases. The engine requires almost but the engine requires almost constant equivalence ratio. Constant equivalence ratio. In this context, I will discuss what do we mean by equivalence ratio. Equivalence ratio is defined as the ratio of failure actual by failure stoichiometric. It is defined that the failure mixture actual divided by failure mixture stoichiometric. So, this is known as equivalence ratio. So, at intermediate load the mixture equivalence ratio increases slightly as the airflow increases, because intermediate load, that means we are opening the carburetor slightly, relatively opening area is relatively higher. So, airflow will increase and the engine, but the engine will require almost constant equivalent ratio intermediate load, that is almost all the time engine runs, I mean during cruising zone, but we require engine equivalent ratio to be constant, and equivalence ratio is defined as the ratio of failure mixture at which is supplied actual divided by failure ratio stoichiometric. So, this is another important problem which we are having if we use a simple float type carburetor in a internal combustion engine. 3, very important, as the airflow approaches, the maximum wide open throttle valve, the equivalence ratio remains essentially constant. The equivalence ratio remains essentially constant However, the mixture equivalence ratio should increase to 1:1 or greater to provide. However, the mixture equivalence ratio should be increased to either 1:1 or greater to provide maximum engine power. So, this is important. So, this is another problem we are having this is another problem we are having if we use a simple float type carburetor, and so these are the limitation we are having. Another important problem is, so the third problem is, as the airflow approaches maximum wide open throttle valve, equivalence ratio remains essentially constant, but it is not the case. But however, the mixture equivalence ratio should be increased to 1:1 or greater to provide maximum engine power that is required during power zone. That is what we have discussed, that if a simple float type carburetor is designed or it is adjusted for the satisfactory operation during power zone, it will supply tool in mixture that is required during idling condition. On the other hand, if a simple float type carburetor is adjusted to design satisfactory operation during idling condition, maybe it will supply too high, too rich mixture that is not required even during power zone, and that is unnecessary wastage of fuel. So, a simple float type carburetor cannot adjust to supply the desired or required amount of failure ratio which is needed for engine which is needed during different ranges of operation. Number 4 is very important, that the elementary carburetor, whatever we have discussed, a simple float type carburetor, the elementary carburetor cannot compensate transient phenomenon, phenomena in the intake manifold. The elementary carburetor cannot compensate transient phenomena in the intake manifold it also it cannot enrich the mixture during engine start off and warm up. So, the elementary carburetor cannot compensate transient phenomena in the intake manifold, also it cannot enrich the mixture during engine start up and warm up, that is during idling condition. So, this is another important problem associated with the simple float type carburetor operation. So, if we need to overcome all these limitation, and what will be the design criteria of a modern carburetor. By the way, I mean nowadays almost all the modern engines are not having all are having fuel injection system, the direct injection system, but still only to have an idea how a carburetor is working, what is the function of carburetor, and we have discussed in detail. And while we are discussing a simple float type carburetor, we have seen what will be the problem, what will be the difficulties associated with this simple float type carburetor as far as the engine operation is concerned, and then we have today we are trying to list down those, and if someone would like to design a modern carburetor, what should be the design criteria, that we also need to know. So, another problem is 5, this is also very important, that the elementary carburetor cannot adjust to change the ambient air density, which is due primarily to change in altitude. So, it is very important, I am writing and then I will discuss. The elementary carburetor cannot adjust to change in ambient the elementary carburetor cannot adjust to change in ambient air density which is primarily due to change in altitude. Changes in altitude. It is very important, because if a internal combustion engine is equipped with a simple float type carburetor, and if that engine attains certain altitude, then probably there will be a change in air density, that effect a simple float type carburetor cannot compensate or cannot adjust, but which is very important effect while we are discussing the mass flow rate of air and mass flow rate of fuel as well. So, these are the limitation with a simple float type carburetor or elementary carburetor. So, to overcome these, I mean these are the problems, and we have seen the problems are really important. So, important problems. So, we need to overcome, rather we need to, while we are designing a modern carburetor, we need to overcome all these problems, so that a modern carburetor should not have these limitations, and what will be the design criteria. So, now we will discuss that modern, while we are thinking about a design of modern carburetor. So, modern carburetor design, what will be the objectives. So, we have seen the difficulties or limitation associated with a simple float type carburetor. If we need to overcome, circumvent all those problems, then what will be the what will be the objective, rather what will be the objectives while we are thinking of designing a modern carburetor. So, the changes required in the elementary carburetor are discussed as follows. Right. So, what are the changes we need in a simple float type carburetor, so that the limitation can be avoided, can be removed. Number 1, the main metering system, which is used to supply different percentage of fuel air ratio during 3 different zones, must be compensated main metering system must be able to compensate to provide, rather must be able to compensate or must be compensated to provide essentially constant lean or stoichiometric mixture, to provide essentially constant lean or stoichiometric mixture over the 20% to 80% airflow range. This is very important. So, we need to supply different percentage of airflow during different ranges of operation. So, the main metering system must be compensated to provide this lean or stoichiometric mixture over the 20% to 80% airflow range. So, whatever will be the amount of airflow depending upon the engine requirement, the main metering system which is used to supply fuel, that should be able to supply lean or stoichiometric mixture. An ideal system must be added to meter the fuel must be added to meter the fuel at ideal and at ideal and light load. Three, very important. So, during idling condition we need to supply relatively higher fuel air ratio, that is what we have seen. So, an ideal system must be added to provide the fuel at ideal and light load, the required amount of fuel during ideal or light load. Similarly, an enrichment system must be added must be added so that the engine can provide its maximum power as wide open throttle valve, so that the engine can provide its maximum power as wide open throttle is approached. So, it is similar to what requirement is there during idling condition. So, an enrichment system must be added so that engine can provide maximum power when throttle valve is widely open. Number 4 is an accelerator pump which injects addition of the fuel when throttle is opened rapidly. So, there will be an accelerator pump which injects addition of fuel an accelerator pump must be added which inject addition of fuel must be added when throttle is opened rapidly. When throttle valve is opened rapidly. 5. The choke must be added to enrich the mixture during engine starting and warm up. To enrich the mixture during engine starting warm up. And similarly, last is, so what are the problems we have seen today. So, we need to have changes in the elementary carburetor. So, what are the changes required, that we have listed down. Number 6 is very important, that altitude compensation. Altitude compensation is required to adjust fuel flow with a change in air density. That means it is very important. So, altitude compensation or altitude compensator will be required. Altitude compensator should be there to supply or to adjust fuel flow with a change in density of the air, because as I said that if engine needs to attain certain altitude, then probably there will be a change in air density. To whenever the density of the air will be changed, then probably mass flow rate of air will be changed, and to take that effect into account, an altitude compensator will be there to supply required amount of fuel. So, these are the changes which are required in the elementary carburetor, so that the limitation which are there with the elementary carburetor can be removed and engine can be operated with a almost required fuel air ratio which is needed during different ranges of operation. So, we have discussed about the limitation, also we have discussed what are the objectives of designing a modern carburetor. That means what are the changes required to work on the limitation, those are there with a simple float type carburetor. So, now we will work out an example with a simple float type carburetor, then we will proceed toward the next. So, problem with a simple float type carburetor. A simple jet carburetor, a simple jet carburetor is designed to supply 6 kg of air per minute and 0.45 kg of fuel per minute. So, this is a simple float type carburetor which is designed to supply 6 kg of air per minute and 0.45 kg of fuel per minute. The fuel density is 740 kg per meter cube. Ambient conditions are atmospheric pressure is 0.1 megapascal, ambient temperature is equal to 300 Kelvin. So, we have to calculate the throat diameter of the venturi for a flow velocity of 92 meter per second. For a flow velocity of 92 meter per second, coefficient of discharge is given of air. Coefficient of discharge of air CDA is 0.92 it is given. Coefficient of discharge is given 0.92 and coefficient discharge is given 0.92. So, next problem is, if the effective pressure drop across the fuel metering orifice, if the pressure drop coefficient of discharge is given 0.8, coefficient of discharge is given 0.8, and if the pressure drop across the fuel metering orifice is 25% of that at the venturi, calculate the fuel orifice diameter. If coefficient discharge of fuel is 0.6, that is given. So, we have to solve the problem. So, if we try to recall that this is this, these are the this is the venturi, right. So, this is section BB and this is section AA and this is the venturi. So, it is given mass flow rate of air is given, that is 6 kg per minute, mass flow rate of air given 6 kg per minute, mass flow rate of fuel is given 0.45 kg per minute, raw fuel is given 740 kg per meter cube, CDA is equal to 0.8, CDF is equal to 0.6, PA is equal to 0.1 megapascal, TA is equal to 300 K. So, all these are given. So, if you try to recall the analysis by how we have calculated the mass flow rate of air and fuel in the context of simple float type carburetor, then we can see that HA is equal to HB plus CB square by 2. From there we can write CB, that is velocity of air at the throat, at throat is equal to twice Cp into Ta minus Tb, and that can be written in terms of twice Cp Ta into 1 minus Pb by Pa to the power gamma minus 1 upon gamma under root. So, this is the velocity of air at the throat. So, actual air velocity should be the actual air velocity, that is ideal air velocity because we did not take the frictional effect into account. So, actual air velocity should be that 0.8 into ideal air velocity, 0.8 is equal to coefficient discharge of air. So, actual air velocity, therefore, actual air velocity is given, that for which we have to calculate the venturi diameter of the throat, right. Calculate the throat diameter at the venturi for 92 meter per second flow of air, the flow is 92 meter per second. So, 92 meter divided by 0.8, that equal to twice Cp Ta into 1 minus Pb by Pa to the power gamma minus 1 by gamma of root. So, this is the expression. So, Pa is equal to given Cp we can take 1.005, then from there we can calculate what would be Pb minus Pa to the power gamma. So, if we calculate 1 minus Pb by Pa to the power gamma minus 1 upon gamma will be equal to 21.93 into 10 power minus 3. So, from there we know Pa. So, we know Pa is equal to 0.1 megapascal. From there we can calculate Pb will be equal to 0.0925 megapascal. So, we have seen what is Pa and what is Pb. So, but density of air at section Bb will changed, and that is what we need to know, what is Pb. Then if we know Pb, so we know Pb by Pa is equal to rho b by rho a to the power gamma. From there we can calculate rho a will be equal to, rho a is equal to Pa by Rta. So, if we calculate, it will be coming now, rho is equal to it is coming 1.16 kg per meter cube, right. So, I know Pb and we know Pb, we know Pa, we know rho a. So, from there we can calculate rho b will be equal to 1.097 kg per meter cube. So, there is a drop in density at section Bb, of course, because there we are having velocity is higher, fine, pressure is less. Now, then mass flow rate of air at section Bb, that equal to rho b area b into Cb. So, mass flow rate of air is given, mass flow rate of air is 6 kg per minute, 6 kg per minute. Therefore, 6 by 60, that will be equal to 1.097, this is 6 kg per minute. So, that is 1.097 into pi by 4 into dB that square into 92. So, from there we can calculate dB, that is 35.52 millimeter. So, dB is equal to diameter at the venturi. So, we have calculated by how? We have calculated pressure at section Bb, from there we have calculated density using ideal gas relationship. Mass flow rate of air at section Bb is equal to density there, area and velocity of air there. The velocity of air should be 92 meter per second, actual condition. Then mass flow rate of air is designed to supply 6 kg of air per minute, then it will be 6 by 60 per second. From there we have calculated what will be the mass flow rate diameter of the venturi at the throat. Now, second part. So, this is part A, answer of part A. So, while we are coming to second part, again we have to draw the schematic. So, this is venturi, right, and we are having one fuel metering orifice over here. So, this is fuel metering orifice. So, now and this height is, let us say h. So, this height is h. So, here we are having atmospheric pressure and this is section BB. So, again we have seen now that we have applied steady flow energy equation between section. So, this is section A again, then I can write PA by rho F is equal to PV by rho F, because now we are handling fuel. So, we have to consider density of the fuel plus CB square by 2 plus G into H plus frictional losses delta P due to friction divided by rho F, right. So, therefore, we can calculate what will be CB square by 2, that equal to PA minus PB minus rho F G into H minus delta P frictional divided by rho F. So, now this rho F into G into H plus delta P frictional, this quantity is 0.25 of PA minus PB. This is given 25% of the pressure that are the venturi. So, therefore, we can calculate CB is equal to CB square by 2 is equal to 0.75 into PA minus PB divided by rho F, right. So, we know what is PA and what is PB, that we have calculated from the previous calculation from the previous analysis. So, CB that will equal to 0.7 into 0.1 minus 0.0925 divided by density of the fuel that is given 740 into 10 power 6 into 10 power 6. Therefore, CB will be equal to twice of 0.75 into 0.1 minus 0.0925 into 10 power 6 divided by 740, and it is coming near around 3.9 meter per second. So, this is the velocity of the fuel. So, again if we apply, so this is the velocity of the fuel at section BB. Now, if we apply continuity at the nozzle, if we apply continuity equation, right, rather just mass flow rate of fuel at section BB, I mean through the fuel metering orifice, that will be rho F into area of fuel metering orifice into CB into CDF, coefficient of discharge, because the velocity we calculated that we multiplied by CDF, that is not actual, because we did not take the effect of frictional losses, that is called surface tension effect, all those things. So, coefficient of discharge of fuel, that is coefficient of discharge of fuel that we need to take into account. So, now this is given 0.45 kg per minute, therefore, divided by 60 equal to 740 into pi by 4 into fuel metering or df square into 0.6 into 3.9. So, from there if we calculate, df will be around 2.35 millimeter. So, this is the answer for part B, that is the diameter of fuel metering orifice. So, this is the diameter of the fuel metering orifice. We have discussed the theoretical part in my last lecture. So, today we have worked out an example how to calculate diameter of the fuel metering orifice and diameter of the venturi at the throat, because diameter of the venturi at the throat is very important. This is key, because depending upon the diameter of the venturi at the throat, the mass flow rate of fuel will depends, and pressure drop will be the pressure drop that will be there, that also will depend upon the diameter of the throat at the venturi, and what will be the amount of pressure drop. That pressure drop will be the driving force for the fuel to flow from float chamber to the venturi. So, from there we have calculated what will be the diameter of the venturi as well as diameter of the fuel metering orifice to supply the required amount of fuel, that we know from a engine requirement. So, from there we have calculated what will be the diameter of the fuel metering orifice and the diameter of the venturi. So, today we have discussed about the limitation of a carburetor and a simple float type carburetor. Then we have discussed that if you would like to remove we would like to eliminate those limitations, then if you would like to design a modern carburetor, what should be the objectives, and then we have worked out a numerical example, numerical problem for a simple float type carburetor. So, with this I stop here today and I will continue my discussion in the next class. Thank you very much.